I surrender to the Almighty my mind, speech and body. Vanakkam. We are about to explore the book called Thirukkural, given to us by our Tamil ancestors. So far I have been giving only introductions and background information, and we have not entered the book still, but all of these elaborate introductions are necessary. Thirukkural was written by Thiruvalluvar, or shortly Valluvar. In the previous videos, I explained what is Aram, which is the order found in nature, the different parts of the human mind, the yoga kachi, and the different pramanams used to measure truth. I also explained how Thiruvalluvar and Parimelaizhagar were closely connected at the Unarvu level. Parimelaizhagar wrote the commentaries for Thirukkural, and we'll be using his commentaries to understand the book. Now I keep saying that Thirukkural is a book that gives us the aram for the conduct of human life. If this book is going to talk about the human life, how is it possible to condense our entire life in 2000 lines? I will talk about that today. I had mentioned that humans have 6 senses, and the 6th sense is the mind. And because of the presence of mind, we are able to think, analyze and plan our lives. We set goals and make an action plan to reach the goal, and we act accordingly. And normally we plan for the next 5 or 10 years. Our ancestors too analyzed life and set goals and achieved them with a plan. Not only did they plan for the next 2 to 5 years, but they also planned their life for the next birth. Rebirth is widely acknowledged by many scholars in the Tamil culture. For instance, Thiruvasagam, a renowned poet of the 9th century, in his work called Thiruvasagam, talks about how the Uyir, which is the intelligence inside this body, goes through the various forms of life, from a single blade of grass to small plants to the different types of worms, and to trees, to animals, to birds, to snakes, to stones, to humans, to the different types of ghosts, to asuras, to sages and devas. Devas are one of the forms of life that we as the Uyir go through. Thirukkural also talks about it. It is said that devas exist in a different plane, and it seems that there are only happy experiences for a deva. A renowned poet, namely Avvaiyar, of the 3rd century BC, she writes a poem about how the healthy human life form is a very rare life form, and it has taken a very long time for us to get to this form. It seems we have gone through several births to get to the human form. And it is even more uncommon to be born as an educated and healthy human, and an even rare occurrence to be an educated, healthy and a generous human. And Avvaiyar says that such a person will be shown the path to the higher planes of existence. So the Tamil ancestors have written extensively about what happens after the Uyir leaves this body and the different planes of existence that we go through. It looks like we don't cease to exist once we die. There exist other planes called Padham, and some of these Padhams offer only happiness for the inhabitants. So it seems that the journey of our Uyir continues with a new body till we reach our final destination. Our ancestors also found that it is possible for us to plan and act now in this lifetime to get to a better place in our next birth. We could take birth as a Deva, for instance, in our next life if we plan accordingly in this lifetime. The goal of our current life, they say, is to live in such a manner that we move to a higher plane of existence and finally reach a state of permanent happiness. They say it is possible for an ordinary person like us to plan our lives in this birth to reach such higher planes of existence. And such a plan of life is laid out in Thirukkural. That is, how can we conduct our lives in this birth so that we may continue our journey in higher planes in subsequent births and finally reach a destination of permanent and never-ending happiness. Thirukkural lays down the blueprint for such a way of life. It is given as a set of instructions like do's and don'ts. So it is more or less like an instruction manual for our entire life. But the human life is so big, at least 90 years, and so much happens in our life, from education to career, love, marriage, kids, work, and so much more. So we can imagine how big a book that gives instructions on the entire life should be. But this is the size of the book, and this is the size of the book having Parimal Azhagar's commentaries. So then are we simply exaggerating when we say that Thirukkural has everything needed for the entire life? No, we are not. I had mentioned earlier that Thirukkural, which is written in the poetic meter called Kural Venba, which allowed for the condensing of ideas. I also mentioned that Thirukkural has a total of 1330 couplets with 7 words per couplet or kural. It had 4 words in the first line and 3 in the next. Still, how is it possible to categorize all the activities of our life and give instructions? You see, if we list down all the activities that we perform in a single day of our life, they will fall into one of the following categories. First, we have aram or dharma activities, that is keeping ourselves clean, going to school, learning things and things that we do to better ourselves. The second category is the wealth seeking activities, which will be going to the office, earning money. The third category is the pleasure seeking activities, and the fourth one is the self reflection or spiritual seeking, prayer, meditation and things like that. And if you think about it, there cannot be a fourth category. And this classification is called as Purudartham, Purudartham in Tamil or Purushartham in Sanskrit. The book Thirukkural follows this Purudartham. So based on the Purudartham, the book is divided into 3 broad sections, and these broad divisions are called as Paal, Paal. Now the big division that talks about aram is called as Arathu Paal, Arathu Paal. The next big section that talks about the aram of wealth seeking or the proper ways of earning and enjoying wealth is called as the Porut Paal, Porut Paal. Porul in Tamil refers to wealth. And the last section that talks about the aram for pleasure seeking is called as Inbathu Paal, Inbathu Paal. Inbam means pleasure in Tamil. As you may have noticed, there is no explicit Paal for the 4th division, which is self-seeking or our activities towards seeking God. Does that mean that Thiruvalluvar was an atheist? No. Scholars say that the reason why the 4th Paal is not written down explicitly was because our final destination of this weir is a state of bliss, or what we call God, is not something that can be completely explained by words. However, the path to such an experience is shown. When the aram, as explained by the first 3 Paals, are followed by us, then we will be on the path towards our final destination or God. And that is why there is no explicit section or a Paal on the 4th category of the Purudartham. The path is implicitly shown in the other sections. So these big divisions or the Paal are further divided into subdivisions, and these subdivisions are called as Iyal, Iyal. And under each Iyal there are smaller divisions called chapters, and these chapters are called as Adhigaram, Adhigaram. So we have these big divisions called the Paal, and there are 3 main Paal, Aram, Porul and Inbam, in accordance to the Purudartham. And each Paal has subdivisions called Iyal, and each Iyal has chapters within it called as Adhigaram. Each Adhigaram or chapter has 10 couplets or kural, and there are a total of 133 chapters or Adhigarams, and so a total of 1330 couplets or kurals. So that is how the book is structured: Paal, Iyal, Adhigaram and Kural. And this is how Thiruvalluvar condenses and organizes the instructions for our entire life in one book in 1330 couplets or kurals, using the Purudartham as the basis. I understand I have touched on many things that we don't normally talk about, like the Devas, the planes of existence and God and all that. Regardless of our stand on God, I will continue to explore the ideas of our ancestors, including their perspectives on God and religion and all that. And you're welcome to join me in this journey, even if it is out of academic interest. I will end here and thank you for listening. Nandri Vanakkam.